Good morning, it's Jackie from Kreativ. I'm just going to do a little critique on this painting here and just give a few little tips and tricks to our friend's painting here. So here's my painting. I took a step-by-step through this one the other day, and our friend here, she is still working on hers, but I'm just going to give her a few little pointers. So let's see. And of course, when giving a critique, it's just my opinion, and I'm just going to give some suggestions. And there is no right or wrong to art, but here we go. All right, so there are a lot of things in this painting that I really love. The background is perfect. I love that if you see it on my picture here on my camera, it's a little bit darker, but in real life it is lighter, and there's some lights and darks, and it's really beautiful, the variations in the sky. And I also love that kind of curved direction of the brushstroke. Awesome. Okay, another great thing, I love these over here. These petals here are awesome. There is a really strong outline. Maybe we can soften that, and I will show you on my painting over in 1 minute. Also, I love all the texture here, but there is this like harsh line of where this dark meets this brown, and I think we can just soften that a little bit. Also down here, I know we haven't finished or haven't added all those little details, but we can definitely go in. But you're definitely on the right track, and I'm loving it. I think you just need to be trust yourself and just go for it. So I'm just going to show you a few little tricks on mine. Now mine is flipped, so you're going to see my sunflowers on the opposite sides, but we still can see that. So in your painting, I do notice that there's a really strong outline. You were very, I see that you took your time and had a really steady hand getting a nice outline, but I'd loosen that up. You don't need to have a total outline. It's just really just showing the difference between one petal from the other. So I would go in with maybe some yellow and just soften. And you could add maybe some yellow and brown just to kind of soften that edge. And this may take a few layers because your brown is already dry, but I would just go in and soften. You do not have to have a whole outline unless you're going for more of a pop look. I could add some whites, whatever colors you have in your petals, and just really soften that edge. So when I am outlining my petals, like I keep saying, you don't have to outline the whole thing, but let me just show you. I'm just gonna add one here, and I'm gonna just add a little bit of an outline here maybe, and maybe I want a little definition there, and that's it, right? And I can go back in, wipe off my brush, grab a little bit of yellow, and then I can go back and soften that. So suggestions in this one, I would definitely go in and just soften those outlines. You don't have to have a complete outline of your petals. It can be here and there, or it could be in just a darker shade of your yellow. So yellow with a little bit of brown. If you have some orange, throw that in. But I love all the variations in your petals. Just keep working it. Maybe adding a little bit into this one here, a little bit more. So this one's really yellow, or this one could stay yellow because maybe the sunlight is hitting it. Another thing you can do is once you have your petals all in, you can go back in. Like yellow is kind of translucent. So if you have a little bit of a dull petal, if you find a dull petal, just go over it with your yellow, and it's going to create a little bit of brightness, but it's still really translucent. I just wouldn't add any white to that because that would make it more opaque. All right. So I think your petals are coming along perfectly. So just keep working on that. Now our center of our flower here, two things. The outer edge, let's tap on that and also focus on that center part. Okay, so back to mine. I'm just gonna find like a brush. Here's a number 6. I think you could use an 8 in your multi-packet, and it has this kind of wild bristles. I am going to suggest, see how you have a lot of white in there? I'm gonna go back with, I would go back with some brown. So take your brown, so let me just add a little bit of white to mine. And then you have a really brown edge. So what we're going to do, or I suggest, is going back into your brown and just tapping on top. Now very lightly, allowing your white to shine through. And then on your edge here, just soften it. And I would even add some yellow. So we have our line, straight line on the edge here, soften that up with some browns and yellows. And then the same thing here on your black edge, I would go into my brown and just soften up that transition. I would even bring in some browns here. It's a lot of layering, so say I brought my brown in, I'm like, oop, that looks a little bit too much. Just grab that black and just really play with the amount of pressure. Maybe I'll even grab a bigger brush. Let's see if I have one near me. I don't, but I would pick up maybe my 8, just having a bigger brush, maybe to get a softer mark. And I could introduce some yellows into this as well, or some more brown, and I just keep building it up. And on that outer edge is where I really want that nice soft transition, so I would play with a little bit of brown. And just keep building it up until you are happy with it. And also that will start giving it kind of some form as well, like some fluffiness to your center, which they totally are. So back to here one more time, I would go in with some browns and some blacks. So keep going back and forth. Soften your line, adding some browns in there. Brown and orange, brown and yellows in your brown part, and really just adding a little bit of yellow tapping just to soften that edge right here. All right, and same thing here, do the same thing, just keep adding layers of color, softening one transition from the other, and going into your petals. You got it, you're doing perfect here. My only suggestion is adding a little less outline unless you really want that poppy look. If so, keep going with it. Remember that second coat of yellow, because it's pretty translucent, will brighten up your petals. But I think you are doing fabulous. I think this is your first painting. I think you totally rocked it. Keep going and be patient, allow things to dry when you need them to. But thank you so much, and I can't wait to see your final product.